Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your host. That's Motiz, and I'm Rue. Today I want to talk about some Jerry Springer-like drama. It's a rumor going around about Keyshawn Davis allegedly knocking out Teofimo Lopez Sr. And there's actually an article. I know you dug in the archives. You found an article back in, I think it was 2019, where it was rumored after their sparring session that a brawl or some kind of altercation broke out. So this isn't necessarily a new rumor, but it's kind of just resurfacing right now. It kind of makes sense after all the drama, at the live press conference. You kind of seen them, I don't want to say drawing back and forth at each other. Teofimo was mostly like ignoring it, but he did respond here and there. But Keyshawn's been very vocal about, I want to fight Teofimo next. Then they're digging this out, from digging this out the closet. And I think Shakur affirmed it, right? Like, yeah, this did actually happen. So just, want to get your thoughts on that news there.
Yeah, it was kind of at first when I was scrolling through YouTube and I seen, mentions of Keyshawn Davis knocks out Teofimo Sr. I was like, what? Sounds like off the wall, to be honest. And then of course, looking like into the article and then Shakur kind of like stating that was true. And I didn't see Teo respond necessarily. So I was like, wow. And then Teofimo Sr. actually responded on a podcast. I forget the name of the podcast, but I'll kind of leave their channel here below, where he mentions that, he never got knocked out, right? And him and Coach K is good now, basically insinuating that something did happen, but he just never got knocked out, and that, that was the past, and, he's moved forward from it. So it's kind of wild to me. It sounds like it was an altercation. It got physical, and it's kind of crazy, to be honest. It's not crazy getting into the physical altercation, but it's crazy that it's being brought up now. And I guess it's with the issues brewing between Keyshawn and Tia. So
yeah, so I think there are a couple different like eyewitnesses, right? I think some are saying like, oh, Keyshawn just knocked his pops out, and then some people are saying it was some kind of maybe even like more people on this side fighting against Teofimo Lopez Sr. and I'm assuming Junior, so kind of like jumping him, right? So I'll say that in these two scenarios, let's say the Lopezes were outnumbered, possibly they were trying to stand their ground and someone could have got a punch in and knocked them out or dropped them, whatever, right? But what I find hard to believe is, say what you want about Teofimo, this is Junior, say what you want, but I think it's hard to imagine Keyshawn just walked up, punched his father in the face, and he just stood there and said, okay.
Yeah.
I just find that hard to believe, you know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of gimmicks. I know sometimes it's over the top, but I just can't see that happening. You know what I mean? But I think it's a weird area. 35 and 40 is becoming kind of weird for me. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, there's too many people associated with the divisions just to say, hey, can we find a weight for both of these people? Maybe it's like 138 or something like that, right? It's just too much history in the weight classes. Too many people there, but it's like everybody at 35 and 40 are just like going back and forth for one another. But it's like, where do you meet to fight, right? Obviously, the biggest in this is Devin Haney and Tank. It's like, okay, but then you got Shakur and Teofimo, now Keyshawn and Teofimo, and all these people saying, oh, I'll fight you and I'll fight you, but where are you guys going to fight? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of seeming like just pointless banter, you know what I'm saying? Like it's going back and forth, but there's no real action about to take place. And it's kind of getting annoying, just from my personal standpoint. You could tell me in the comments, what do you think? Maybe it's exciting for the sport, but I think it's kind of annoying because it's like, it just don't seem realistic, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to do like the Pitbull Cruise, like, all right, whatever. I want a title shot so bad. I'm going to 40. My first fight at 40, I'm going to fight Rolly for the title. You know what I'm saying? You got to really step up to the plate. And not saying Keyshawn won't do that, but until I see that, I feel like so many of these back and forths are pointless. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree 100%, right? Because all that chatter, even discussing I know people were yelling at or complaining about Ryan and Devin Haney face to face arguing with each other, and it's like you guys are about to fight, for no punches being thrown. Like it's like WWE type of style, right? And I think there is a sense of I would say glorified entertainment when it comes to boxing, right? In terms of like talking shit, and putting things out here to kind of help build fights and whatnot. But there's some sense of like these really genuinely feel that way when they are talking shit. But until you guys genuinely are going to fight, it's like pointless, in my honest opinion. Especially with Keyshawn calling out certain people that he wants to fight, but he needs to take it up with his handlers, right? With the Frank Martin situation, take it up with your handlers. If you really want to fight these guys, put your foot down. Blah, you know what? I'm not fighting nobody until I fight this guy. If you genuinely want to fight these people, instead of just saying, I just want to fight them, and then knowing your handlers is not going to handle that situation that way, you know, because at least with Tio admitted, he said, no, I'm not. I don't want to fight. I'm not interested in that fight right now. I'm interested in the bigger fights, you know. So I think we need to bring back where, like, if a fighter genuinely wants to fight another fighter, they stand on business and they tell their handlers, I'm not fighting nobody until I fight this guy, because that's truly who I want to fight.
Yeah. So. And I think one thing with Keyshawn is, and I think Keyshawn's a good fighter. And I mean, he's what is he now, 10-0, or what's his record?
I think he's 10-0 now.
Somewhere around there. And I know Andy Cruz doesn't have many fights, but maybe they look to make a fight like that. Maybe they revisit the Frank Martin fight, right? But I think the issue with Keyshawn is a lot of times, you know, what are going to be considered big fights. Let's say Keyshawn versus Teofimo, Keyshawn versus Tank, or Keyshawn versus let's say Devin Haney. The problem is he's so closely associated with Shakur Stevenson, who's a bigger name. Before his name comes up in those conversations, Shakur's name is going to come up. So it's going to be hard for him to get those fights. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to step up to the plate and say, all right, you know what, I'm going to fight my boy, knock him off just to show I'm better, so I get inserted in those conversations? I don't think that's going to happen. But it's like, before you think about Teofimo fighting Keyshawn, you're going to see Shakur there, and you're going to say, oh, that's a bigger fight. You know, so I think that's a bit of an issue right now. And I wonder if, I mean, I understand they have a friendship, but maybe in the public eye, maybe they have to separate themselves some, so they can, you know, not thought of in the same breath, same sentence. You know what I mean? That way, maybe you just start thinking about Keyshawn on his own and saying, okay, put Keyshawn in some of these fights that he wants. But also, is he going to go up to 140? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's just going to move up to 140. I mean, he claimed he would to fight Tio, but I don't know. And then, of course, maybe things will change once Shakur's, you know, contract is officially up, and he may go over to PBC, right? Or he may go over to another platform, and that can kind of be the separation between him and Keyshawn that's needed, you know?
Yeah. I don't know where I saw this news, because I was driving at the time. But I heard that I heard that Shakur is revisiting that. Initially, he turned down the Top Rank deal. I heard in like days to come, you're going to see him revisit and sign that contract, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
I gotta figure it out, because, like I said, you know, sometimes when you drive and you're kind of just going through things, and, like, you know, videos are coming up quickly. I heard it. It's probably one of the major platforms, you know, in terms of you know, new media boxing, but I just can't remember where I heard it. But I heard that Shakur is gonna actually sign and stay with Top Rank. So let's see if that actually comes to fruition, or if we get any, you know, more back and forth between Keyshawn and Teofimo. Just like I said, Teofimo with a belt, there's more unifications to be made. I just, you know, that's just not going to be the next fight. So I think Keyshawn maybe rechannel his aggression towards maybe like Frank Martin, revisit the Frank Martin situation. I still think that's a good fight to be made there.